Yeah.
Bye. You're live.
been a while.
Yeah, it has. We decided to do the 2 in August because we had 3 Wednesdays. So welcome everybody to another live Q&A with the fabulous bunch from VA Claims, Veterans Helping Veterans. You got myself, my husband Chris, we've got Blake, we've got Jackie, and we've got Ashley. We're going to make a couple announcements while everybody's kind of getting onto the chat. Be sure to drop your questions in over there, guys, and we'll be sure to answer your questions. But just want to do a couple of announcements and some house cleaning. First and foremost, VA Claims, Veterans Helping Veterans YouTube. Thanks to all the subscribers and all the videos watched. We are now able to take donations. So it's a huge accomplishment. It is awesome because it supports the channel, provides all the equipment and the ability for myself to do the videos and put them out there and have these live Q&As. And I appreciate my group here that comes on every time with me to help answer these questions. And again, guys, remember, we're just doing the best of our ability to answer your questions. We don't have the answers. We try to get them for you. With that being said, let's do some house cleaning real quick. I'm going to read the disclosure, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about some important things that are coming up. So just so y'all know, VA Claims, Veterans Helping Veterans is not accredited agent, VSO attorney, or entity recognized by the Department of Veterans Affairs and is not affiliated with the VA in any way. We do not assist veterans with preparation. I don't know what I want to say right there. Presentation and prosecution of VA disability claims for VA benefits. This Q&A is solely for guidance purposes and should not be considered medical or legal advice. Now, with that being said, the buzz going around right now, as we all know, is the PACT Act deadline. If you waited till tonight to do it, I really don't have a lot of sympathy for you. And I can tell Jackie doesn't either. Because tonight is the deadline if you want to potentially get the effective date of when the PACT Act bill was signed on August 10th, 2022. So with that being said, we're hearing a lot of buzz. Jackie put something out there, I believe, right, Jackie, about...
yeah, they were having, due to high traffic today with the PACT Act and the intents to file, they were having some issues at the site. So you had good advice about that, though, about taking screenshots and stuff.
So yeah, so I got an email from a veteran earlier today, and his is from Ohio, and they sent out a mass email to everybody that just said, basically, if you're filing and you're getting an error, screenshot whatever it is you're attempting to do, save it, because you're probably going to need it to maybe potentially file for like an effective date if you don't get it. But again, this is the deadline, guys. If you have not filed for the PACT Act claims and you want to, you must get the ITF in by midnight tonight. Does not mean you have to file tonight, guys. It just means you're putting a placeholder to make sure that you go ahead and submit those claims.
Put your intent in now. That gives you another year to wait till the deadline comes up for your intent.
Get it in.
Yeah, get it in. But again, some people waited a little bit, so. But anyways.
Hey, already, guys, we got Kevin Trotter, Peter K, NYK. They've already donated. It really helps. Like I said, we have a great group of people here. We do this on our free time. Our group comes together on their own time. Like I said, we pay for subscriptions, software, things like that to try and bring you guys the information that you guys want without you, with giving you the best information that we can. Let's say that. Yeah. So we really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
All right. So with that being said, let's, I think we've got some questions, right? Where did Chris go? Oh, there we go. All right, Ashley, you're up.
All right, so this one's from a corporal on duty. So does the VA rate for complex PTSD?
Jackie?
Pretty sure that's what I have, but they just
service connected me for
service
GAD.
connected me with GAD.
So the only difference between them service connected PTSD and service connected generalized anxiety disorder is like the determination. So with PTSD, generally you need to have like a traumatic event, experience like reoccurrence, like disturbing thoughts, stuff like that. There's no difference really how they rate it. It's all based on the same symptoms. So
Right.
it's not going to give you a higher rating if you're diagnosed with complex PTSD or generalized anxiety disorder, because they're evaluated the same way. It would just be a different diagnosis. So,
And you're
VA
already rated for mental health.
right. And VA requires, like for PTSD, you have to meet the DSM-5 criteria, which not all therapists or other types of mental health care professionals are necessarily able to accurately diagnose, I guess. You know, for a lot of the PTSD, the diagnoses have to be rendered by a doctorate level psychologist or psychologist or psychiatrist. So there's no difference in the evaluation. You're going to have the same symptoms, whether they call it a bump on the log, anxiety, or PTSD. So it will be evaluated the same way.
And if you're already rated, wouldn't the simple thing to do is file for an increase if the veteran has gotten worse? There's really no significance. Some of us get stuck on the name of the mental health, like PTSD and, you know, GAD and MDD. If you're already rated, but you're getting worse, then what you should do is file for an increase and show that your mental health has gotten worse with the medical records to support it. So I don't know, is that really kind of like complex PTSD? Is that, it's not really something the veteran really needs to, I guess, file for because they're already rated for mental health.
Right. Just to file for the increase.
Yeah.
And be sure you include your records show that the symptoms have gotten worse.
Right. So that would be our advice, is to if your mental health has gotten worse, then file for the increase. And then let the VA determine, here's another caveat to it, let the VA, the rater, determine if they need to change your primary mental health from GAD to maybe PTSD or anxiety, the main mental health or primary, I guess, mental health, right, Jackie?
Well, that needs to be a medical determination. Raters aren't able to diagnose.
Right, I get that, but once they get the diagnosis, if that changes the rating code for that veteran,
yeah, they'll update the diagnosis.
Right.
But it's not going to change the evaluation, of course,
Right.
unless the condition's gone better or worse.
So just to circle back, if you've gotten worse, Corporal, I like that name, Corporal OMH duty, file for an increase. Okay, next question.
All right. This is Kevin. We've been talking to him a lot, so
Yeah.
he's back, and I think he's got some good news here.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Kevin Trotter. So I just got approved for disability for Social Security for my eye condition. I waited over a year for a decision, so I'm happy about that. I am currently 90. Will this SSA decision help my VA claim?
Two different animals, two different criteria. The VA is just rating you on your eye. Social Security rates you on your overall ability to work.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Well, it would kind of depend if he's applying for IU.
Right. It would help. It may help with.
And if I remember, wasn't he filing for that?
Were you filing for IU there, Kevin?
Yeah, Kevin. Didn't you file for IU? I thought he was one of our listener or followers.
I don't remember.
I don't either, but I want to say yes. If you could type in the comments and let us know, Kevin. I thought he had filed for IU or TDIU. Could that help?
Well, we're waiting. I guess I'll just say, so VA and Social Security talk to each other. So VA can see Social Security medical records. They have to request them, but they can get them and use them in adjudicating your claim, especially when making determinations like IU, and then vice versa. So, for example, if you are granted Social Security, like because you're unemployable due to your disability, I'm not saying you're going to be approved by VA.
There it is.
Yeah. But so if you just got approved by Social Security, it may be advantageous to you to refile for IU, because if, and I want to say this very carefully because people don't always understand what's in so when they request social security records, it's like nuts what they write in there. I don't know if you guys ever read your letters and stuff. They consider all sorts of like evidence. They have medical professionals write in, what each condition you have and how it's disabling. And then they make their determinations and stuff. So the social security records are way more intense than like an IU disability determination by the VA. They use a lot more. So I would highly suggest if that was favorable for your social security, but it was only based on the I and you're service connected for it, then yeah, it totally would be advantageous for you to reapply for that because that would be favorable evidence towards your case. But if you're like, if there's not always favorable stuff in your social security determinations, for example, like if you had also like a back condition and they determine like, yeah, you got social security based on your eyes and your back and this and, a few other things, VA could look at that and be like, oh, it's like a non-service connected disability that makes you more unemployable. So I would highly suggest kind of knowing what, exactly what Social Security said, because if you reapply for that, they'll request the records. But if it's totally due to your eye, definitely refile because that would be additional favorable evidence in your consideration.
So to recap, Kevin, thanks again for the donation. 2, congratulations on getting your SSA approval. And 3, what Jackie's stating, go for it and provide your, approval from Social Security and go ahead and reapply for IU, TDIU, and see what happens now with the VA for that, because that would be something pretty awesome. All right. Oh, wow. All right.
Sorry, I took that down. Christy Spence.
Yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah.
So that's actually Jeffrey Spence. And Jackie, he's actually one I had talked to for a while. He had a kidney at 0 when it should have been 30.
Was that the kidney removal one?
Yeah.
Yes. And
So thank you for the support. I'm glad that our team is able to help you with getting what you deserve.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much for the donation.
Thanks, Jeff. We appreciate that. And like it said, this goes back to the channel and helps support for us to be able to do these videos and live Q&A. So we truly appreciate it. All right, next question.
Let's see here.
Illy.
Did I miss something?
Yep, right here.
You got it.
This one's from I. Already at 100%, but after PACT Act, I have some of the presumptive conditions that was not filed. Should I file it? And if I file for claim, would there be a possibility that rate the sleep apnea not go?
There should be more behind this, Chris. It looks like there was like 3 different.
Just go down.
Not go down, yeah.
Yeah.
And hello from Philippines. He's from Philippines.
Okay. Was there more to this one, Chris? No. Okay, go down. Okay. So already at 100%, but after PACT Act, I have some of the presumptive conditions that was not filed. Should I file it? And if I file for claims, would there be a possibility of the rate for sleep apnea to go down? Well, again, here we go again with the VA is not out to take away your ratings. 1, 2, your sleep apnea has nothing to do with any of the presumptive that you're potentially going to be filing for. So if you have, I guess here's my thing. If you're already 100%, unless you're going to die, this is me, you guys can obviously chime in too. I feel like if you're 100% P&T, unless you're going to die for something like you have cancer right now due to the presumptive areas. Huh?
Unless you're going to die within the next 10 years.
Yeah, then leave it alone.
I feel differently.
Go ahead, Jackie. No, that's fine. You have your opinion. Go ahead.
So my opinion is, look, I think you should file for whatever that you have wrong with you, because Why do you think they came out with all these new presumptives?
Right.
Why? Because veterans were filing claims for them. They track things like this. So when you file claims for stuff like presumptives and whatnot, you help, or anything really, when you file a claim for everything, VA is tracking these metrics. And that's how they come up with new presumptives. That's how they allocate money. That's how they do so much because you're giving them invaluable data to help other people. So I get it. Like, people get worried about, their ratings being denied or lowered, rather lowered, right? But let's think about sleep apnea, right?
Right.
Unless there was erroneously granted, which is relatively unlikely, right? Because it's not rocket science, it's sleep apnea, right? So you have a CPAP, right? So that's an automatic 50%, correct? What are the chances of that being reduced? Even if they send you for a reevaluation, which they won't, because unless you're like morbidly obese and you lose a ton of weight and your sleep apnea goes away, it's a chronic disability. So in that case, if you're worried about your sleep apnea, like, honestly, my opinion is I wouldn't even bother worrying about that. I would file for the presumptives. But again, different opinions, different ways of looking at things, and I just wanted to give my spin.
That's good. What about you, Ashley? Are you indifferent, or Chris? Are you indifferent about it?
No, ma'am.
Chris?
I'm under the opinion that you give it, if you're at 100%, and like I said, if it's not going to kill you or not going to change your rating or anything like that, I don't like rocking the boat. Like I said, that's just me.
That's kind of where I am. Unless you're going to get SMC for it,
Right. Unless there's some way to get, like I said, SMC, or it's a thing you're up to, you're going to die from. But that's again for survival benefits, though, right, Steph?
Right.
Correct.
But
that's all it's for in that case, is for the surviving.
And since you touched on that, Chris, just a real quickie here, guys. I'm getting ready to do a 3-part series on what you need to know before you die. Nobody wants to talk about it, but we all need to know about it. And
I hope you use that guide that I gave you guys.
Yes, I am. And unfortunately, most people, not just veterans, people die and they leave their loved ones hanging with all the crap to take care of. So why not prepare and be ready for when you do pass, to know that your loved ones are not stressing over your death? And this 3-part series is going to talk about the death indemnity compensation, also known as DIC. I'm going to talk about wills. I'm going to talk about trusts, power of attorneys, and so much more. Funeral benefits, all the things that you need to know. I'm probably going to miss something in one of my videos, but that's why we get the feedback. But this is going to be a 3-part series. The first part is going to start with the trust, the wills, power of attorneys, and things like that. Because guys, you have no idea, if you don't have a will in place, the problems you are causing for your loved one when you pass on. But that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, but we are getting ready to do that.
I want to just put my 2 cents on that. This video is not a hot topic, but there's 3-part videos. People need to watch this.
Yeah.
A lot of information that people don't know about.
Because it's not always about getting money. It's not always about getting money and compensation, guys. It's also about knowing the benefits that you have, or the things you need to do in case you do suddenly pass away, because we never know.
It's not sexy, but it's important. So,
yeah. Okay. Next question.
All right. This next one is from Mr. Dennis Berry. So why is it so difficult to find a medical professional to help with DBQs and service connections?
Well, go ahead.
I will comment, because a lot of doctors, unless they're your primary care or they see you regularly, don't want to speculate on things. I think that's a big factor. I'm sure Blake can, from his experience, could give a little something more, but I think that's a huge part of it. Some random doctors think it is it's like a mark against their integrity because they don't treat you a lot. They see you one time and write this like whole big long letter about
Well, yeah.
You have the disability and everything, and I think they think it's an integrity issue.
And before Blake, you answer as a medical standby.
Or lazy. They could be
We
lazy.
have seen so many medical opinions that are just terrible, terrible. 15 pages of fluff and have no association to the veteran. But go ahead, Blake, with your medical side of it.
To write a good Nexus letter probably takes somewhere between 6 to 8 hours of research and examination and putting the pieces together. Insurance companies don't pay for it. Most veterans don't want to pay what it would cost for me to do that. On average, working in the office, I was making $250 to $300 an hour. So you figure out what it would cost you. My experience from this group and seeing the letters that have come through, when you pay for a hired gun, the more you pay, the shorter it takes them to write the letter because it's all cut and paste.
And what did we put out there? Blake put out a great post that's in our group, guys. He broke down about a Nexus and an IMO. We did a 3-part series on YouTube about this as well. Basically, guys, all you need is a few paragraphs, maybe a few sentences from your doctor and your medical records that simply states X is caused by or X is aggravated, and provide a little bit of language to go with it versus paying for an overpriced medical opinion. Right? You know, I mean,
that's exactly right. And the issue is, in a lot of cases, and I hate to say this, but in more cases than not, just because the veteran believes that condition X is caused by my time in service doesn't mean that. When you're paying for a hired gun, you're just paying for a yes man, because most of the ones that they say they're not going to get involved, it's because they very well may not believe that your condition was caused by it. And again, to do the research to figure it out, because you have to have not only correlation, you have to have causation for you. Not, well, I know a guy down the road, he got his sleep apnea tied to his PTSD. Well, yeah, he may have, but you've got X, and Y that says that that's more likely than your PTSD to have caused it. Just because the veteran gets it doesn't mean you're going to get it.
I just posted the link in the VA claims for the first video of our 3-part series on the Nexus letters that talks about this. Like I said, Blake did a very good job. We took all of that information and put it in there, and that'll help answer a lot of your questions. And holy cow, Daniel, thank you very much for that donation.
Wow. So wow, Daniel, I truly appreciate that. I know this is the gentleman that I've been talking to for a long time that's been struggling with the BVA since 2015. And he's been on here several times, and he finally got his CMP exams, and he got granted service connection back to 2015.
Wow.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear.
Sorry, Steph. Explain. Is that the one where he went to the judge?
Yes.
Yeah. Just highlight that real quick, because this is important.
So he was going to the judge because he did not get any of his CMP exams. And my simple, I guess, I don't know how to explain it. As a veteran and going through all this and knowing what I did, I knew he needed exams. So the first thing I told him is just ask the judge, look, I didn't have any exams. Shouldn't I be afforded exams? So he was remanded back for exams, and then he just told me a few weeks ago that he got service connected to 2015. That's like really awesome. I'm really happy for you, Daniel.
8 years of back pay.
And he wasn't even service connected. I'm just makes me want to be teary-eyed because I'm just glad that everybody connects through here and has a bond, and at the end of the day, oh, I have not even had my CMP exam, was rescheduled, right? But you are rated. We've talked about this, but you're on the good road to where you're supposed to be going. So congratulations again, because I don't think you're done yet, because he's still got stuff pending. So, but thank you for that. That's awesome. We appreciate it.
All right, Ashley, I got a 3-part question coming up from Jamie.
Yes, sir. Okay, so Jamie, so I was a supply Marine, and one of my responsibilities was to conduct personal effects of Marines who were killed in action. If I didn't put my name on the logbook stating I didn't conduct the personal effects, but my buddy who was in with me wrote in his personal statement that he was there with me when we both witnessed and conducted the personal effects. Should that be good enough? My buddy stating that he was there for the personal effects. Thanks.
Anybody want to answer that?
I'm not sure exactly what was this, because you're applying for PTSD and the trauma from your job of having to do it. I'm not. Does anybody else really understand the question?
I get
So
the question.
he had to keep up with everyone that was killed in action when he was deployed, like a hander seat almost.
Yeah, is he asking did that cause some kind of personal?
Can I see the question again?
It's a 3-part question. He
I know.
said, hold on here.
Okay.
Okay, let me let's see here. So he had to do with personal effects from people that were KI, Marines that were KIA.
Okay.
He didn't put himself in the logbook, but his friend did. So he's almost asking for a buddy statement for what happened, but what is he?
What are you claiming though? I need to know if it's PTSD or just regular mental health.
Right.
Right.
It sounds like he needs a buddy statement, but for what?
But what? So it sounds like he was doing the personal effects for the members that were killed in action.
Correct. And so we're just trying to figure out, he needs a buddy statement because he wasn't on the logbook, but for what is he claiming?
Right. What are you trying
He
to
said
say?
he's claiming PTSD.
Okay. So the buddy statement will hold some weight in the evidentiary record, but your supply and that log is probably not going to be in your personnel records or your service treatment records. So my guess is that they would process it as something due to like a personal trauma. If you remember more details, kind of like if you can remember the 3-month period within, like this veteran Marine passed away, the unit, the veteran's name, they can research that and verify it through a third-party government entity. And then, the lay statement from your buddy, along with, I'm going to assume that you're going to write a statement too, like on the 078 or VA form 210781A statement in support of a claim for PTSD under the personal assault one. Just because it wasn't like due to combat or anything, it's due to, thank you so much, Chris.
To personal
and then
trauma.
If you had any like mental health complaints or anything in service, I think you're going to have to do a little legwork. Like, do you currently have a diagnosis of PTSD? Like the statements and stuff. I mean, that can hold some weight. You're going to have to look at the whole evidentiary record, because it's like I said, the log's not going to appear in your personnel records. If you had a copy of that log, that would be like money right there. But if you don't, and I understand why you wouldn't, who saves logbooks and all that stuff, really? And the Marines had one for everything, I swear. Yeah. So they're going to need like information like that. If you want to email us, we can absolutely respond to you and tell you exactly like what information that you absolutely need to provide so they can kind of corroborate that exact date in his name. Good. So they can absolutely, especially if the Marine was killed in action, they can absolutely corroborate that. And then, you know, for something like this with PTSD, you have to meet the DSM-5 criteria, which would have to be diagnosed for personal assaults. They have to be diagnosed by a psychiatrist or a psychologist. So it sounds like you,
Well,
yeah, it sounds like you have enough evidence as long as you provide the VA with it. So good luck.
yeah. Okay. Next question.
Okay, the next one is from the Crypto Dawn. So I had IBS symptoms in my medical records during active duty, and my private doctor diagnosed me with IBS. What should I expect at my CMP exam?
A lot of questions. That's about it. There's no real physical exam for IBS.
I'm ready for IBS, as probably many people are, and it was all questions over what I was dealing with and issues, you know, versus
What makes it better? What makes it worse?
yep.
How often?
Yep. Do you have D? Do you have basically, do you have diarrhea, constipation? You know, which one do you have? Do you have both? You know, how often do you go to the bathroom? You know, have you had, they will ask you too, I believe, in the DBQ, correct me if I'm wrong, about like if you've had any like colonoscopies or anything like that, surgical things like that. They'll ask that question as well. So, but if you have IBS diagnosed in service like I did, and you have a current diagnosis that's chronic, that should be an easy connection to get IBS rated as service connected primary. All right, next question.
Okay, next one is from Mr. J. Morgan. So I'm retired and currently rated at 70%. He served 5+ years in a combat zone. Each location had burn pits. The VA diagnosed me 3.5 years ago with burning mouth syndrome. What do I file it under?
I've never heard of that.
I would do it under Terra or 3.317. So burn pits, toxic exposures overseas. Absolutely. I have a friend with that. It sucks. I'm sorry.
Oh, what is that?
Definitely file it under literally on your form. Put TERA and
What form is that?
3.317. So it's the it's like the chronic undiagnosed multi-symptom, like kind of like
it's not a form, Chris. She's citing a reference.
Yeah, then email us so we can get you the exact way to file that.
Well, what she's saying is Tara, which is the
Oh, so on the claims form, when you file it, if it's the first time you're filing it, you're going to file it on the 526EZ, and you can annotate like due to toxic exposure, and then I would do under 3.317, which is the chronic undiagnosed like multi-symptom things. That's because that's definitely a weird one.
What is that though? I was asking. Burning mouth syndrome.
It's exactly what it sounds like. It's like this unsatiable, like unrelenting, constant burning in your mouth that you can get no relief from. It waxes and wanes for a lot of people, but it sucks. It can be very disabling.
All right, next question.
Okay, the next one's from Jeff Connors. So I'm 10% service connected for rhinitis, 30% for asthma, burn pits, 80% overall. If I file for cyanitis, also, would I have to hit 30% to increase to 90%? But then I would open myself to review.
I'm 10% service at rhinitis, 30 for asthma, 80 overall. If I file for cyanitis, which he could file for cyanitis, would I have to hit 30? Well, I guess the thing is, do you have cyanitis? I mean, the point is, if you have it, file for it and get service connected for it. That would be my first thought, because you can be rated for it as long as you can prove it's due to service. I'm assuming it's another PACT Act claim. Would it change you and go from 80 to 90? I would have no idea without.
If you got 30%, it might depend.
It
Depends on what
depends.
what his true rating is.
We would need to see the code sheet to make a distinction like that. And
Right.
the goal is not to bump your rating up. It's to make you be rated appropriately or evaluated appropriately for your service-connected disabilities.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you would have to get more than 30% if you were rated at 76, rounded up to 80.
Right. So, but I mean, back to your original question is if you have sinusitis and you absolutely think it's due to the presumptive, then file for it for sure and get it service connected. I just wanted to give a shout out because it's not really a question. It's just a comment from Chris. It says, they watched my video the other day where you told your MST story. I just wanted to say sorry that happened to you and also thanks for sharing. I also have relived the nightmare every night of what happened to me 30 years ago. Well, you're not alone. And it took a lot of courage for me to do that. It was actually my first ever testimony out there. But, you know, if you have any questions, because that is a very sensitive subject, please email me and we can talk about it a little more in depth and see if you got any questions that I can answer on a more private level if you need that. But thank you. I appreciate that. We got another question?
Yes, ma'am. Corporal on duty. Is GERD TMJ even worth applying for if you're static for 70% mental health?
Yes, they have nothing to do with each other.
They have nothing to do with each other. GERD is your intestines, TMJ is your mouth, and mental health is your head. So yes, has nothing. And are you trying to file them secondary? That might be the question, because if you're trying to file them secondary to mental health, Jackie, does the VA typically look at the primary when you're filing the secondary?
well, I mean, yeah, because
Right.
they're usually going to request a medical opinion.
Right. So that would be where I'm thinking from that question, because they didn't really say they were filing it secondary, but that's where I'm kind of, if you want to answer that question while we're talking about it, if you're
Anytime you file anything secondary to it, they're
Right.
going to look at the primary to see if it's gotten worse.
right.
They don't always send it for exam, though. They won't always send for an exam of the primary.
No, but they do to see if they're saying the causation is the primary. So if they're saying mental health, if a veteran's saying mental health is causing their GERD, they've got to have the nexus, right?
Right. They can. Yeah. I mean, they're going to ask the medical opinion, but they're not always going to send the veteran for a mental health exam.
Right. No, I get
Okay,
that.
that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No. I get exactly what you're saying there.
Yeah. No.
Huh?
Yeah, all I heard was yeah. No. I got it. That's all I heard.
So let's replay this and be
Right. So I'm sure that really helped him out a lot.
I mean, I understood what she was saying.
she gets
I'm
me.
sure he did, but
She gets me. So to recap, you didn't answer, you haven't replied back, so I'm not sure, but I think what you're trying to do is file GERD and TMJ secondary to mental health.
He did say he thought that they were related.
I think they're related. Okay, well, again, if you're trying to file them secondary to your mental health, you're going to have to prove the causation. But as Jackie,
why don't you put it on your form that you're filing them direct and secondary and just kill all the birds?
Kill all the birds with one stone and let the VA determine. That's a good idea.
Yeah, let them figure it out.
There you go. Just go ahead and file for primary and secondary, or just put them on there and let them figure it out which way. I like that idea. But
if you don't identify secondary, they're not going to develop for that. They'll develop for like direct. You know what I'm saying? So if you think that they may cause your mental health, I mean, I think I would suggest go ahead, file direct, and then also say secondary, because they can explore both those avenues of service connection at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. What I would do.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No.
Okay, this next one's from Mr. Joe Cochran. When do you think the clothing allowance payments will be going out?
The day before you get it in the bank.
So, smarty pants over there. Al, don't listen to him. Just focus right here because I file for it every year. But again, it just ended the deadline the 1st. You can start receiving them anytime between now and October. I have always gotten mine in August. It just really depends, I think, on the facility and where you filed it and whatnot. But you can expect it no later than October, but it could come earlier.
Okay, so this one's from Mr. JC, part 1 of 2. Does anyone have any personal experience filing under the general diseases of the eye? They count the number of clinical visits in the past 12 months as incapacitating episodes, not bedridden.
Okay, I'm just going to take it. So even though it's the general, you're just saying like service connector for eye disease. So, you know what? Let's come back to this one, and I'm just going to look at this.
Okay, Chris, she's gonna look something up, and we're gonna come back. So stand by, Mr. JC. She's gonna look something up, and we'll bring that question back up in just a minute.
Okay, this next one's from Mr. Roger B. He's from Knoxville, Tennessee area. I messed up my lower back on duty in 1990. 3 surgeries later, and I'm at 60% total. My VA primary said my back is in severe state. Can I get an increase? Is he maxed out, basically?
Well, first of all, you're 60% total, so we don't know what your actual back rating is. But as Ashley is very familiar with the back ratings, right? You're at 40.
Yes, ma'am. And I only had 1 surgery. Also, is he getting the radiculopathy for his lower extremities?
And that's a question for Jackie. This is, again, we're going to be kind of jumping here. And Jackie, do you have the answer for Mr. JC?
That was about the radiculopathy. So
hold on. I want to stay on this topic. Are you good to stay on this topic?
Yeah.
Okay. Because where she's going with it is what I wanted to ask earlier today. So to answer this gentleman's question, we don't know what you're rated for your back currently, between 10, 20, 40. But as Ashley said, 40%, that's a pretty high rating for the back in of itself. So if you could kind of type in the comment section, he says, I have tinnitus and back with lower radiculopathy. So he does have the radiculopathy. Can you tell us what your back's rated for, sir? Just the back, not your overall? And while we're on that, Jackie, there's a lot of our listeners, some of them are coming on tonight, about the DBQ for the lower back with Section 8 that talks about the radiculopathy. Does that have to be inferred in the exam?
Sure. We can go ahead and talk about that real quick for a second. So under the provisions of 38 CFR with 3.155, there's certain issues that when VA rates that they need to address certain residuals. So we see this like with diabetes. Well, the VA will infer things like, potentially neuropathies, kidneys, maybe ED. With the back and the neck for the musculoskeletal system, if you have associated radiculopathy, so numbness, tingling, pain, symptoms like that in the extremities, if the examiner diagnoses it and you have like a disability, yes, it should be inferred. What they do, so they'll take your lay statements basically and ask you if you have like intermittent pain, numbness, tingling, all that stuff. And then the examiner will also evaluate you, do like a muscle strength test and reflex test and things like that. So based on your subjective complaints and objective testing, they'll evaluate how disabled they think the thing is. So generally, most of the time for like radiculopathies, you'll see either like mild or moderate. I mean, you really have to have a large area affected with like a lot of like absent reflexes, like atrophy and everything for a severe rating. So dependent on which nerve is affected and how many nerves are affected. Like it's different for the upper and the lower body. Like upper body can only have one, and then lower body is like a little bit dependent on the different nerve groups. But
Right.
yeah, does that kind of answer? Or you want me to go like a
Well,
little bit?
I guess my question is it yes or no? If a veteran files for lower back and the DBQ, as you can clearly see on section 8 for radiculopathy, does the examiner have to focus on that, or can they skip it and examiner
No.
hasn't done anything wrong?
No, they can't skip it. It's a part
Okay.
of the back evaluation. It's a part of the back and the neck for the musculoskeletal. They have to address it. They have to
Okay.
answer yes or no.
Okay.
If they don't, it's an insufficient exam, and
That's-
the rater's reviewing it, they should kick it back. Now,
Okay.
sometimes, I mean, whatever the examiner's findings, like if the examiner found no findings of it, then I mean, it is what
Right.
it is. But
No,
yeah,
that's
it absolutely.
that's one of the questions that's been emailed.
Okay,
to
sorry,
me.
I misunderstood.
Nope.
Sorry.
That's what I thought. So that has to be addressed. So if it's not even yes or no, that's good to know. I can report back to this veteran, which is what I thought, that's an inaccurate or incomplete, and it needs another one. Okay, that makes
And
sense.
then just to go on the eye thing real quick, since I'm already talking. So under the general eye formula.
Hold on, Roger. We'll go back to Mr. JC in just a second. Roger, when you get your rating on your back, come back to us. We're going to jump now to Mr. JC. Back to you, sir, on your question on the eye.
So assuming that they diagnosed it and they were using the correct diagnostic code, incapacitating episodes, usually by definition for the VA, require doctor authorization. I'm not sure what you would call it, Blake, but if you look at like IBDS for the back, unless you have a doctor prescribed bed rest, it's non-compensable.
Like an eating disorder.
Same thing for eating disorders, like you have to have incapacitating episodes. So when they say
they're very vague on what their definition of incapacitating is.
No, they're not though. Incapacitating episodes have to be defined by a doctor as such. It's like it's a thing.
Right.
So,
but if you, as a physician, if I call the VA and say, what do I need to put as in that makes it incapacitating, they will not tell you.
well, essentially, like an
their definition.
incapacitated period would be something prescribed by a doctor that you're not able to like function. So
that's in the CFR, like you said, for eating disorder, which you always get a 0 for eating disorder.
That's for the back.
Yeah.
Incapacitating is essentially like the doctor saying you're down for the count. You're completely like an invalid for a period of time.
So back for Mr. JC, what's our answer to him?
Well, it would, I mean, just looking quickly at the CFR without actually seeing his medical records and knowing what the issue is or what the actual diagnosis is, I would say like it's a condition so disabling that the doctor would label it as incapacitated. And I bet if I look on the IDBQ, which I have not done, I'm just in the CFR right now, it may actually explicitly state what the incapacitating episodes is.
You're saying,
look at that.
Ashley?
Incapacitating episodes under the I on CFR. He has a note that it's the same as IE listed elsewhere.
Doctor prescribed.
Oh, not the same. Sorry.
It's not the same. Okay, so let's take a look at the DBQ.
Okay. It's not the same. And I don't think, Roger, if you're still around, Roger, I know you said you were going to look up your back. Just let us know if your back's 10 or 20. Or even 40, because I know after 40, I think, aren't you pretty like, because 40, isn't 40 like frozen in a frozen position?
It is, yeah.
No.
With 40, it's I mean it's severe, but it's not. It doesn't. You're thinking ankylosing or however you say that. Blake, correct me.
I don't.
Ankylosis or whatever. That's when it's like fused and you have no meaning.
Ankylosing spondylitis.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. That's the one that you can't remember.
Hold on a second. Now you guys got my curiosity because I have a saved little chart like they use. What's that tool they use, Blake? The
A
that thing.
like a protractor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just learned how to say that this week.
I still can't say
I
it.
mispronounced it for like 3 years.
I can't say it still.
I literally had somebody phonetically spell it, like, like spelling for Marines.
Yep.
Not exactly known for our intelligence, right, Chris?
Nah. Chris,
Take a look at
I was
the
in intelligence.
yeah.
That's what I did.
marine intelligence is an oxymoron.
It's an oxymoron. Yeah, we did
My favorite flavor is blue.
it. I'm more red. I like red.
There it is. This one.
Jackie, look up the name for a blood pressure cuff.
So for the back, it says for 40%, flexion measures 30 or less, or entire thoracolumbar spine frozen in a favorable position. That's the 40% criteria for the lower back.
Unfavorable ankylosis of the entire cervical spine, or forward flexion of the thoracolumbar spine 30 degrees or less. Yeah,
correct.
I'm reading the same thing.
The thing on the left is for your neck. The one on your right is for your lower back. Cervical spine is above, lower.
Yeah,
Okay.
40, yeah, is bad for the back.
Well, we haven't heard from Roger, so we're going to have to bow out on his question. Have we answered Mr. JC's?
Can we go back to the eye real quick?
Yeah, that's Mr. JC.
Okay, so on the DBQ, it says for the purposes of evaluation under 38 CFR 4.79, an incapacitated episode is an eye condition serious enough to require a clinic visit to a provider specifically for treatment purposes. So example of treatment may include, but not limited to, systematic immunosuppressants, biologic agents, intravitreal or periocular injections, laser treatments, or other surgical interventions. So there you go, right there. Tells you exactly so you kind of get an idea, like if you're talking about like systemic immunosuppressant type of treatment, or we're talking about like serious treatment here. We're not talking about going in for an eye exam or going in for some eye drops. We're talking about like serious treatment. So I literally looked at the forward-facing DBQs for VA, and that's what popped up. So that's what the VA will define the incapacitated treatment for the eye to be.
And that's on the DBQ.
Yeah, in section 6, incapacitated episodes, it spells it out real clear right there.
Okay.
Tonight. That's amazing. Thank you.
All right, Mr. JC. So there you go, under the IDBQ in section 6. She was reading from it. So I hope that helps. Roger, if you find out on your back, let us know. We're going to move on because we've got some more questions. Let's get our next question.
This next one's from BK. So what about the new PTSD rating schedule? Is it going to pass? Is it going to pass? Is it going to change? It's due next year, I think, in April.
Steph, can I just?
Yeah, go ahead.
Proposal. It's like not even like an official proposal. Until you see it reach law, so VA aren't VA aren't assholes. These are all laws and regulations passed by Congress, your congressman that you all vote in. So with that being said, all these laws and regulations have to have congressional approval. So even speculating on how long it will take, they can't even agree on a budget. How long do you think it's going to take for the average VA change? Like 1 million years, right? They pushed the PACT Act because of the, advocacy that the VFW, American Legion, DAV, all these people had for us because, we've been fighting a 2-front war for 20 years. So, I mean.
I think the mental health one's actually a good thing. They removed it. They want to take the 0 away and make it a minimum of 10.
I mean, I think they should too, but until they change the law and they come out with like an actual like projected date, don't worry about it because it may never happen. They've been talking about changing sleep apnea for 12 years.
Yep.
Just throwing that out there. So,
and what you're referring to is just a proposal from back in February of 2022.
Yep.
That allowed everybody till April of 2022 to provide their, I guess, opinions, input, and it's gone nowhere. So there is nothing changing with mental health. And please understand, they don't, I guess the word I'm looking for, they don't make it just about PTSD. Mental health is mental health. It's 0 to 100 again for any mental health rating. So don't worry about that. All right. Next question, Chris.
Okay, this next one is from Tracy Faust. So rated at 30% for kidney disease. Letter indicated I could receive a higher rating if I had swelling, etc. I provided that proof, was denied an increase. I have had 21 surgeries in 3 years. She's at a loss. They're at a loss.
Without knowing the specifics, it's hard for any of us to make a comment on that.
I mean,
I'll speculate.
You could you want to speculate?
I'll speculate. So the kidney rating formulas are going to depend on, so like right now, I think they figure it out based on it used to be the EGFR. Let me look it up.
Well, while she's looking that up, Tracy, if you do want to email us, you can go ahead and email us. Chris will put it up there, redacting your personal information, and send us anything you want us to review. And Blake can take a look at it on the medical side, and then we can take a look at it on the other side and kind of put our heads collectively together. But I believe Jackie's going to speculate somewhat for you. Don't take this for complete face value, but again, the best answers come when we have all the information.
I can positively say that it's based on certain markers in your blood test. So even if you had swelling or you have other symptoms, swelling's not really going to be a compensable side effect of that. It's going to be rated under your renal dysfunction. So there's certain criteria for each level of renal dysfunction that they would rate it under. 30% automatically makes me think of kidney removal, but unless you're more specific, we would need a little more information about your symptoms.
And let me touch on the surgeries. That's a lot of freaking surgeries. If you've had this to a service-connected disability and you are not 100%, you should be filing for the 100% temporary disability. If the recovery time is within that threshold, I file a lot for my surgeries due to my feet and my ankles. So you need to kind of keep that in mind, Tracy, that if, I don't know if they're just.
The convalescent period has to be at least 1 month to be rated.
Right,
so
30 days.
Right. Month, then, yeah.
Right. If it's at least 30, we have a video on the 100% temporary disability as well and what qualifies for it. But it just requires you having the surgery and the notes from your doctor and how long you're going to be out. And as Jackie says, it's a minimum of at least 30 days. And the doctor will usually write how long the recovery is in your surgical notes. So that's helpful too. So just keep that in mind, Tracy, as well. And I'm sorry you've had so many surgeries. Gosh, I thought I had a lot of surgeries.
Wow, sorry. So I am right. It was the EGFR that they base it on. So it has to be like read-ins throughout, like it has to be like within a specified time, a certain amount of times, whatever the predominant disability is in regards to the EGFR.
Okay. Let's touch back with Roger. He answered back to us.
Okay, so Mr. Roger, radiculopathy at 10% each, upper left, upper right, and lower left, plus 20% for the degenerative disc disease. I have atrophy in left leg and some in right.
Chris,
Okay.
can you put that first part of thank you?
Go back. There you go. So he's got 20 for his back.
So 10% for all the extremities.
for all the extremities and 20 for the back.
If you have some atrophy included because of the radiculopathies, it might be time to put in for an increase.
That's what Ashley was saying.
Yeah,
Especially
definitely.
with 3 surgeries. I mean, yeah, I would agree to file for the increase.
Especially with the 10% for the extremities, because that's mild, and you're not going to get rated lower than the 10% for the radiculopathy, because if you didn't have it, you wouldn't have been diagnosed with it. So
Right.
I would say that would be a pretty safe increase to put in. With your back, I mean, 20% is a reasonable
Problems
Yeah.
are L2 and lower.
rating, but I mean, I can't say anything with the back. I can just say with the radiculopathies, it's unlikely like they would separate, you know.
So yeah, I mean, our opinion and stuff, I mean, don't hold us to the fire or nothing, but file for the increase.
I agree.
All right. And Tracy, before we put this one up, Chris. All right, Tracy, go ahead and email as well and give me some more information. Please redact any personal information when you do send your email to me, and I'll have the team review it and we will get back to you, I promise. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Okay, the next one is from BL Hill. I'm 100% service connected PNT and recently filed a claim for the PACT Act. Did I make it a mistake poking the bear? You're not drinking coffee.
No, I don't know if you were on earlier, BL, when we were talking about it. We were all giving our opinions. Some of us were of the opinion, if you're 100%, don't worry about it. Jackie's opinion is, you know, if you do have something that should be service connected, go ahead and file for it. So again, if I guess water under the bridge right now, you filed, right? So you just go ahead and let them run its course at this point.
Well, you can withdraw a claim as long as it's in writing.
You
if
could.
you really wanted to, but
I would be curious, what did you file? That would be my question. What did you file, BL? If you can put that in a comment section while we're answering some questions, I'd be curious. What did you file, knowing you're 100% PNT? What did you file under the PACT Act presumptives? That would kind of give us a little bit more flavor to this. And while we're waiting on that, BL, if you put that in the comments, we'll take another question.
Right. I'm not really sure how to decipher this, but here it is.
This one's from BK. I wonder what any advocacy was. Read this. PTSD rating schedule change and favor. Tons of PACT Act talk. Not much on this.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
it's different. They're talking about the mental health rating schedule and all that's changes. That's completely different and separate apart from the PACT Act. Mental health has nothing to do with the PACT Act. It's actually one of the excluded conditions between like musculoskeletal injuries that are due to trauma and mental health, with the exception of maybe some neurological issues. So no, PACT Act does not affect mental health.
Okay. All right. Next question.
Okay. Next one's from Mr. Jeff B. Due to the claims backlog, do reps cherry pick claims submissions that can be easily resolved, approved or denied, which can increase their quota?
I guess I'll take this one.
Really? No, wait. You really want to take this one? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
No, they don't, because everything gets processed in everything in the world goes to a cloud now. Okay. Everything. And that doesn't disclude the VA claims. So what they do is when your claim is ready to move to the next stage, it goes back into the gigantic cloud, and depending on who create your claim or what special indicators you have or special flashes you have on your account, it's going to be assigned to somebody. At worst case, a rater may have, I don't even know, maybe like, depending on their experience, they can have, up to like, I don't know, 5 to 15 claims. All right. So maybe they might knock something out like a little bit like easy, like a little bit earlier, but it's not going to hold your claim up more than 1 or 2 days, because ultimately everything is assigned to somebody randomly with the exception of specialty claims. And I'm talking about like MST have to go to specialty processors, ALS, TBI, some claims have to have special clearance to rate. So those claims might take a little bit longer because they have to be done by specialized personnel, but no, everything's random and gets assigned to random people to address. And you can't cherry pick.
Okay, hold on. Jeff is the one that emailed us earlier, and I forwarded the email for the team to review. And this was the one that was regarding the, so he had filed the PACT Act in February of 2023 for sinusitis and bronchitis. And
Was
then,
that
I'm sorry?
all the documents, like the BVA one?
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a short history here because the email's long. So in February, he filed for the sinusitis and bronchitis. Then he got some treatment, and then he went ahead and filed in May for the asthma. So he then had already had an existing claim, filed a new claim. So those claims most likely got combined, merged together. And so he's been kind of just sitting there since February. So I understand his frustration about claims and stuff, but they're not cherry picking it. What's happening, and I'm going to say this as a layman's person, I'm just going to put it out there. And I always say, and again, I think this is where you and I, Jackie, disagree. I always say, once you file a claim, leave it alone, just file an ITF and let it just sit. You're, I think, firm believer of go ahead, add it. It doesn't really matter. You can add it to your claim. But I think what he's seeing is because he has filed the PACT Act, which is obviously inundated with claims, and then adding a new claim 3 months later for the PACT Act has kind of just put that all morphed together. This is Jeff, who had emailed us earlier and wanted us to answer his question tonight on the live.
Well, don't forget, so VA started accepting PACT Act claims, August 10th, 2000.
And didn't process them until January.
And they didn't start rating them until January 1st because they needed to first make the training, provide the training, hire the processors for it. So nobody's claim even got work till January. So on the top of that 7-month backlog right there, you put your claim in February. So yes, there is a backlog. If you put your claim in February, I would expect, based on the timelines that I've seen, dependent on the type of claim you filed, whether it be, like a reopen, an appeal, a new claim and stuff, we can't really speculate how long they would take. I just know the VA is working really hard to get rid of that backlog right now. But no, nobody's cherry picking your claim. And I promise, if you filed sinusitis, that somebody would want to cherry pick that because that would be a relatively easy claim to raise. So no, and unless without like knowing exactly how you appealed or how you claimed it and exactly, they're just rolling through it.
All right.
I think Ashley needs to claim like multiple appendages that are coming out of her.
Oh yeah, Andy trying to take my headset. He said, I can't hear them, Mommy.
All right, what's our next
All right,
question?
Ashley, you got a 3-part question coming up, all right?
Okay, yes, sir. All right, so this one's from A.O. Grimm. Currently still serving, seen my first VA provider, passed my PFT for the burn pit items, but the other FEF, 25 to 75%, was a 72 after inhaler, a 97%. They said most likely asthma, chronic rhinitis.
You want me to keep it?
Also GERD. I'm not ready to get out. I think I have a few years left in me, but the PRT is definitely getting harder with the asthma since. I have already put my claim in and am waiting. Curious on what they will do with me in my service career if I can't pass the PRT anymore.
Very possible.
The military, not the VA.
Yeah.
Right.
They may put him on a profile.
Yeah, that has to do with your active duty.
Two separate things.
Yeah, nothing to do with the VA right now. I mean, if they're not going to have you fit for duty, then I guess you're going to be going a different route, possibly med. But if you are fit for duty, then you go back to duty. But it's really
Once if he gets off active duty, then he needs to come talk to us.
Right.
Right. But if he's in active duty and he starts either going down the BDD route where he has to file for his claims, or he's going to go med, there's so many avenues right now for you. Unfortunately, there's not really a definition, but it's definitely nothing to do with the VA at the moment. It really has to do whether you're fit for duty or not. And that's where the military comes in.
All depends on your MOS and all those good things.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Okay, this next one's from Riley Walker. Just a nod for TDIU. Do you think that may affect my BVA appeal for my optic never LI claim rated at 90%?
No, they're two different things. TDIU is the claim for TDIU. Your BVA appeal is for your BVA appeal. So they're two different, completely different lanes. They have nothing to do with each other. So no. You were denied TDIU, but your claim is with your appeals is with the BVA. It will finish out and has nothing to do with TDIU.
The only way it would have anything to do with it is if you're service connected for your eye, then that could be beneficial for your TDIU claim moving forward. But Steph's absolutely right.
Right.
Just a caveat. A.O. Grimm says he's reserves. Not sure if that matters.
So that does matter.
It does.
Even if you're returned to active duty,
the
VA can still rate your claims. So
reservists
see that again, knowing that.
You need to see the question again,
if you don't mind. Yeah.
He's got issues.
Okay, so the complicated thing about reservist, you don't think you're ready about getting out. So as long as the military keeps seeing you fit for duty, right? It's going to depend on when you're diagnosed with things, right? So whether you're diagnosed during an active duty period, during your reserve duty.
But if it's burn pit related, he would have had to.
Okay, you have a Gulf War deployment, so it doesn't really matter as much because you can claim that under like the Tara and the Gulf War stuff. Asthma, chronic asthma is now presumptive under 3.320, regardless of when it manifests after service. So it's rhinitis for PACT Act, but the GERD is not, because that's a structural. It can be considered under the Tara, but it's not. It's structural, so it can't be like.
Going to be under the gastro. What is it? The gastro.
Not under like Gulf War unexplained multi-symptom illness, because it's structural, but as a reservist, you can absolutely put your claim in, and then the only way they wouldn't be able to make a decision on your claim is like if you were unable to like attend examinations, or they were unable to get all your evidence because active duty was a barrier to you being able to get everything in. So you should go ahead and, as a reservist, you should definitely go ahead and just file it now. That way, when you're not drilling or on active duty, then you can get paid for the remainder of the month. Just know that if you are service connected for something and then you serve a long period of active duty, it could be reevaluated, because they would want to see if active duty perhaps aggravated the condition, or, the severity of the condition. But I feel like with those conditions and the presumptives that you should just go ahead and put the claim in.
So it's good we knew that, because we didn't know that. Thanks for clarifying that. We're getting close. We got 15 more minutes, guys. We're going to do an hour and a half tonight, because we just had a lot of people. So, Chris, how many more questions do we have that you have in the hopper? Because I don't want to miss any of them that have already asked questions.
Yeah, it looks like right now we have 3.
Okay.
2 from one person, 1 from another. So if we stop it there, then.
Let's take Michael's, Star Michael's.
Okay.
Okay, and that's it. So everybody who's listening, if you have questions, we're going to stop after Michael's. We'll tell you what to do at the end of this. Well, there you go. Email us with any questions that you have, and we'll be happy to answer them. But we're gonna have to knock off at 21:30 because some of us have to go sleepy.
Some of us had bread in the oven.
Yes, someone needs
Not
bread.
even happened yet.
We have a master chef as part of our crew.
All right, so go ahead. Let's put those questions out. And Seymour Beasy, we could we could possibly do something on Garden Reserve. Let us think about that, and we could definitely circle back on that.
Seymour Breezy has two of the questions here.
That's fine. All right, let's go with it.
All right.
Okay, so Seymour Beasy, when filling out the CMP DBQ mail packet, how do we fill it out? Plain language or 38 CFR wording?
Why are you filling out a DBQ if you're
Yeah,
not a
right.
doctor?
You're not filling
If
out
you
a
have a
DBQ.
medical degree and you're a nurse practitioner or a doctor, don't bother.
I think what they're thinking of is the questionnaires that the veterans are sent to before going to the exam. That's what I think, but I don't think it's the DBQ. Because sometimes they ask you questions before you go.
If it's a questionnaire, then you should fill it out in layperson speak because your doctors aren't going to speak CFR.
Right. It's layman.
Yeah.
Fill it out
Don't
layman.
try to be a doctor. Just fill it out to the best of your ability.
Right.
Federal
There's
leave.
another.
So
Okay.
this is our second question that we'll get to here.
Okay.
Okay, for Gulf War MUCMIs, would the following work for filing? Current diagnosis for IBS, fibromyalgia, joint pain, and migraines. Two PDHAs stating complaints. 2 DD214s for Southwest Asia Theater.
Yes, just make sure that you put on the form when you claim it under 38 CFR 3.317, or you can annotate under MUCME. And additionally, because that's a separate consideration, make sure that you also put Terra, so they also consider burn pits and other exposures while you're
Yes.
So again, 38 CFR 3.317, or you can do MUCMEs and you see MIS, and then under Terra, TERA, and then they can get you under consideration for all the hazards.
She's asking what the 38 3.317 is.
That's the Gulf War undiagnosed or multi-symptom chronic illnesses, which the IBS and fibromyalgia absolutely fall under. Migraines could potentially fall under it, and I forget what the fourth one was. That's why I'm telling you to do it under that, and then under the Terra too, so you get all the considerations.
Right. Okay. Yes, Liz, go ahead and email us your question, and we'll be sure to answer it as soon as we can.
Sorry, BL Hill had a follow on, but I'm not seeing his initial question.
His BL was the I.
Yeah, so he filed for this sinus, bronchitis, allergies, sleep apnea, sleep study, and hypertension.
Okay.
But I can't find his initial question.
I think wasn't his initial question the one about the eyes, or was that Mr.
Oh, here.
Oh, yes. Okay. I'm glad he came back. Thanks, BL, for coming back.
So this is what he claimed.
So put it back up.
Did he poke the bear?
Okay, so first of all, sleep apnea is not presumptive. So if you file for that, I don't know how you filed for it, but it's not presumptive.
It can still be considered under the new Terra.
The Terra, okay. But again, how did he file for it?
Well, they're supposed to infer it no matter what.
Okay.
Sleep apnea. So with PACT Act, now even if it's not an explicit claim for exposure, they're supposed to determine if the veteran had eligible service, and then infer it, if that makes sense. So even if he claims Gulf War on a direct basis, the current guidance is that they ensure.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interject here real quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Corporal OHM duty, no. Please stop. Please. The veteran has the right to file a claim. There's no reason to start scaring the veteran that he's poked the bear. He has every right to file a claim if he needs to file the claim. He's got a VSO. If his VSO is telling him to file the claims because he was in the area presumptive, he can file for it. Stop thinking and living in fear because you're afraid to file for something when you could be service connected. Sure, a lot of us who are 100% P&T don't want to poke the bear. I get it. But these presumptives, as Jackie said earlier in the show, are because you guys served there. So if you've got issues because you served in an area that's presumptive, don't be afraid to file for it. Now, if you're just going to go pick something out of the air and file for it, then do it. I'm just so sick and tired of it, man. Get out of here with that. And I'm done with that. I'm off my soapbox.
I loved it. I loved every second of that. You need a couple more seconds because I'll give it to you.
Yeah, just get on the soapbox. Get back on it.
Oh, you don't want me on my soapbox. We won't.
No, come on, Jackie.
So,
well, I don't
now
care
I
if you
totally
don't
lost
trust
my
medical
train of thought.
doctors or interpret their conditions the same. That's on you, man. That's on you. BL, if you got legitimate claims, which it seems like you do, and what Jackie's stating, and you've been told by your VSO to file them, just go forward with that path. I'm sorry, Corporal.
Oh, I
you
just
got
saw
some
the
twisted
message.
mind
I
going
get it.
on with whatever's going on in your brain about the VA, but they're not out to get us, man. They're not. And stop talking to other veterans and anyways, I gotta get off. All right.
Ashley
I'll
just had a
reiterate
cat.
that.
We've
If you
got all kinds
discourage
of
other
things going on
veterans
here.
from filing a claim, you're a jerk.
Yeah.
All right? Stop.
Right?
For real. It's not you. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
All right.
And if
Especially
you
when
are
it comes to the presumptives, man. Like we were all exposed to crap. All
Right.
right.
And
And
the-
there's
and-
presumptives. You
and
have
the
a
law
diagnosis.
passed.
You served in the Middle East. Guess what? That's service connection.
Right.
Stop spreading misinformation.
And
and
Congress,
if you're afraid that they're going to decrease your rating, it may be because that's the rating you deserve because your condition is better.
right. And Congress passed these laws for all of you guys. I didn't serve over there, so I don't have the privilege of going over there, which I don't even know if it was a privilege. But my husband served 4 tours. Jackie served. Ashley, again, that's why they put this PACT Act in place to help veterans get service connected for the crap that they endured, breathed, went through all this crap. So sorry.
And we've
Okay.
talked about it before. Like literally, it is so much work to sever a veteran service connection. It is so much work to reduce a veteran. Ain't nobody trying to do it unless they have to. All right.
Right.
Nobody's trying to do it. It is way too much work.
Yeah, Seymour Beasy is asking for the Terra link. Is there a link to that?
Oh, it's Tara,
oh, God, there's so
T-E-R-A.
much.
Yeah.
And we also did, Stephanie and Chris, we also did, remember those PowerPoints that were
Yes.
so awesome that I did to discuss the new Terra
It's
stuff.
the video, Chris, for the presumptive for 9/11 and
Yeah.
the burn and Gulf War and presumptive in the burn pits. We did that video.
Go
Mr.
for
Hill, you
presumptive
got it.
illness.
If you
Yeah,
think
huh?
it's due to exposure, claim it. Seriously. VA has come so far, even like in the past 10 years. This is a great time for veterans. Like seriously, like working as a VSO, we're able to see easier service connection and being able to tie veterans claims together. The training for examiners is getting better. The training for the raters and stuff, like, you know, nobody's perfect. We're all humans. Mistakes are made. That's why there's an appellate issue. If you guys think an issue is due to service, due to Terra, guess what? I'm telling you right now, almost anything can be claimed unless it's like mental health or musculoskeletal, like due to a trauma,
Right.
like, or injury, you know? So file
And
for it.
I know we have one question. I know we have a question from Michael, but just to touch on it, there's a lot of the videos that are helpful, including the PACT Act bill video that's out there. It talks about Terra and all that. So, but if you have any other questions, BZ, just email us. and we'll provide links.
I posted the video for Jackie's awesome video that we did for that.
Yes.
That's my PowerPoint. What up?
Yeah. Death by power. Hey, we're all military used to that. If you have any other questions, guys, please email us. The group will get you the right answer.
Right. We have one more question, right, Michael?
I thought we were done.
No, Michael was the last one. I got off before I got off on my tangent. Michael's.
Oh, Michael put his in? Okay.
Okay, this next one's from Michael Shimkus. Are the paid services that are offered to vets worth the money, i.e. pay for Nexus letters, plug and play buddy statements? I have read mixed reviews.
No.
No.
The
How
only
many?
positive,
How many?
I wrote my own statement for free.
Yeah, there you
the
go.
only positive-
Ashley saved some money, did her own thing.
Yeah.
the only positive reviews you've read are those written by the people that are charging you for the statements.
Hey, Corporal agrees with us.
Yay.
Yay.
And
Listen.
Jeff is asking how I'm feeling. I appreciate it, Jeff. I'm hanging in there. I appreciate it.
With a little elbow grease, you can do your own stuff. I'm telling you, you can, if you want to know why and you can't find it on the Facebook page, then you email us and we'll give you like some advice and stuff. There is no reason to pay.
I'm so tired of seeing these independent medical from these doctors out there that are 10 and 15 pages. As soon as I get one and I send them to the team to review, I already know what's good, the response is, but benefit of the doubt, right? At least the veterans are taking what we're giving back as constructive criticism, because a Nexus, even a Nexus it shouldn't even be more than a page, like just one page or in your medical notes. That's all you need, guys. So, I mean, but anyways, hey, LG, thanks for stopping by. Captain, we are
Do
Captain.
one more. It's 9:26.
All right, go ahead, Captain. Do one more. We'll take one. Captain, what's your question? Go ahead and pop it in now.
Hurry up.
up.
They get off their soapbox. They're off. So get a question in.
Right. And to touch bases, I mean, even back when I was filing back in the early 2000s, 2012, 2013, going out and buying a Nexus, it really wasn't that much. It's just gotten so much worse nowadays.
It's a big business now. They don't care about you. They don't care about if your claim's approved. They just want your money. And
Right.
and half the time when if it gets granted, it's not even because of their crap. It's because another examiner said something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not because of them, because most of the stuff they write is insufficient and not like correct. So they'll end up sending it to somebody else and they may give a favorable opinion, but it's not due to these people you're paying. It's absolutely
Right.
A lot of it's copy and paste, and it's not specific to you.
yes.
Oh, I
And
think I
don't
know.
think that VA don't recognize that.
Captain, have we talked? I think you and I have talked about this. This is a long one. This is not going to get answered tonight.
Yeah, it's
guys.
not going to answer
Yeah.
tonight.
No.
The death certificate being fixed is not anything to
It's
do
not.
with
There's more to this.
VA hospital. Yeah.
Yeah, Captain, go ahead and email. There's the email. I know. Yes, we've talked. Yes, I will relay what you and I have talked about to the team, and we will get back to you. I've got your contact on Facebook. I know exactly your story. It's just going to take a little bit longer. Let me talk to the team and then get back to you as well. I know the situation. We had a long talk about this, but it can't be answered tonight.
All right, guys, we're at an hour and 33 minutes. So awesome group tonight.
Yes. Thank
Our
you,
moderators
everybody.
are awesome. We will get you the answers you need. All right. Make sure to join the Facebook group. There's a lot of good information in there as well. Subscribe to the YouTube so you get updates on any videos that we put out. And check out all these other videos that a lot of people have questions on that we've already made videos for.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So make sure to subscribe to all that.
And our next live will be August 23rd, guys. It'll be August 23rd at 8 p.m. I know we got to do it, Chris. I know we've got a busy schedule.
We got a busy schedule.
We got a busy schedule, but we'll make it work. So we're going to try and do the next one on August 23rd, guys. And we appreciate everybody. And I appreciate all you guys coming on. And Blake, go make your bread.
It's just got a permit
I
overnight.
said the bread's already made. It's just kind of marinating.
Bye, Andy.
And
Bye,
Jackie,
Andy.
Jackie, we'll
Andy.
see you next Thursday.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Andy.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Wave. You gotta wave.
Bye.